Yes, 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 new speaker day. Oh, yes, cannot wait. Hey guys, I'm Trayson. I'm really excited about this video. I have always been into having a good sound system, and if you are looking for a good set of speakers, this video should help. When I was a teenager, one of my favorite things to do was go to yard sales and look at the stereos or speakers. I accumulated a pretty big setup and probably had more than I should have plugged into my stereo, but I loved it. And when I turned 16, one of the first things I did when I got a car was put a 12-inch kicker in the trunk of my car, with a full amp set up and everything. I even had to keep an extra box of fuses in the car because I would blow them so often. And when I got married, one of the first things I set up was a surround sound in our little home theater that I made in our extra bedroom. It wasn't much, but I loved it, and I was always about having that extra nice sound experience. So now that I've got a home office, I wanted to make sure I had a good set of speakers for when I'm editing, or listening to music, or watching movies, or whatever. I shopped around for a little while, and I ended up going with the JBL 306P MkII speakers. I knew JBL was a good name brand system, and figured they would work well for me. Now currently the speakers are $200 each, but I was able to grab them on sale. I think it was $50 off each speaker. So if you're interested, watch for sales. I know they do happen. So these speakers come in 3 different sizes. They come in a 5-inch, 6-inch, and an 8-inch option. Now I kept changing my mind if I wanted the medium 6-inch or the full-sized 8-inch speakers. I ended up getting the 6-inch speakers myself because I figured the 8-inch would take up a little more desk space than I wanted them to. And there are some great reviews on the 5-inch speakers, but I knew that was just a little too small for my preference. One thing that I liked about the speakers is their nice, sleek black look. And they've got a little light under the logo, which was a nice touch. They feel really solid and have a really good weight to them as well. And obviously the sound, which is why I bought them in the first place. And I think they sound great. I'm not an audiophile, but for what I needed and what I was expecting and hoping for, these matched them perfectly. Also, before I forget, if you can leave me a comment of a song I should listen to on these, I'm always looking for new music, and these things sound great, so send me something that you enjoy listening to that you think I would like. Now moving on, there are 2 things that I dislike about the speakers. The first thing I don't like, and I did read about this in the reviews, but still decided to get the speakers, is when I've got them turned up a little over halfway, I can hear a slight humming noise. And I've got an extra mic here, and let me see if you can hear it. Now I don't know if you could hear that or not, but when you don't have any other sounds in the background, you can definitely notice it. Now I've had these speakers for a while, so I've gotten used to it, but it is something to be aware of. If I'm listening to music, or if kids are playing in the background or something, I don't notice it at all. It's just a slight thing you can hear when there's no other sounds going on around you. The second thing that I didn't like so much is that the power switch and the independent volume knobs for each speaker are on the back. For me, it was going to be a big hassle to have to get up, go around, flip the on and off switch anytime I wanted to. I didn't want to leave the speakers on 24/7, but luckily I came up with a solution. So originally, I bought a cheap power strip, plugged each speaker into it, I left the speakers turned on, and then when I wanted to turn them off, I would just flip the power switch. And that worked really well. It was an easy fix, and then I wasn't reaching around back to the speakers to turn them on or off. Then I found an even better solution. I was at the store one day and I was in the electrical section, and I noticed there was this power button. And how it works is it's a plug with another plug on the back. So what I did is I just brought a 3-outlet extender, I plugged that into it, plugged the speakers into that, then plugged that in the wall. And then I ran the button up my desk, and so now I just hit the button when I want the speakers on or off, and I'll show it to you. So if you just watch the power lights right here, I go back, hit my button, and they're off. I hit the button, and they're on. So it was a great fix, and I got it all mounted up nice, and I'm really glad I found that. It's much easier than reaching back to the power strip and turning that off and on like I was before. That was still an upgrade, but this one was even better. So the speakers have their independent volume controls on the back. I've got each of mine set to 6, just over halfway. And I noticed at that level, the humming isn't too bad, but if you turn it up louder, the humming is worse. And if you turn it down lower, for me, the music didn't play as loud as I wanted to sometimes. So 6 was the sweet spot for me, and you can mess with it and see what works better for you. One thing to note is the speakers don't come with a cable to plug them in and hook them up right away. Luckily, I noticed this in a review before I bought them, so I went ahead and got the cable when I ordered the speakers. Another side note is the sound of hitting that like button. It actually really does help me out, and if you can leave a comment too, I would really appreciate it. So for my setup, I work on an iMac, so the cable I got is a headphone jack that splits out to each speaker. And the nice thing about that is it lets me use this really cool Bluetooth remote to control the volume. Now if you do end up ordering these, they come with a film layer on the front, and you peel it off like you would a computer monitor or a phone or something. But one thing is there was an adhesive on it that left this residue around, and I would wipe it off and it would come clean. The speakers looked great, but about every day it would come back. It almost looked dusty. It wasn't a dust, but it was just this little residue on there. And what I found to take that off is just get a damp paper towel or rag and wipe it down with that. And then that film or haze or whatever didn't show up anymore. Now maybe you can see it, but I also have these foam pads that the speakers are on. They're angled pads, and I think they were a great addition. And I really like the way they look. And they're kind of a firm foam, but you can still squish them, and when you're done squishing them, I can guarantee your speakers will love them. Now there were 2 reasons why I got the foam pads, and the first is that they are angled, and so it angles the speakers up just a little more, so they're pointing more towards my ears. And the second, depending on what music you're playing, the speakers might vibrate, and I didn't want them vibrating on my hard desk. So the foam pads will dampen all of that. It just absorbs it completely. I've never noticed them vibrating, but it was just kind of a precaution. So again, these have been great speakers for me. They checked all the boxes I wanted to, and there were only 2 negative sides that I had. And I found a solution for one of them. So the only thing that ever bothers me is that hum, and again, it's not that bad. So I'll link the speakers, the pads, and the cable down below. In case you do want any of this, I had to find each of those myself, so I'll make sure you've got all the links to make your buying easier if you want to get them. And if you do, I bet you'll like them. Again, leave me a comment down below of something you think I should listen to. I'm always looking for new music, and I would appreciate your recommendations. And hit that like button if you don't mind. It does help me with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to subscribe, I'll see you in the next one.